Yeah, you butterfly away, you bastard!
Nori stared after the strange being, much like the other people on the board of the grinning panda. Pain throbbed on the edge of his senses, but he kept it at bay. For the most part, aside from him, only 2 other people were injured. One nearly fatally, and the other had lost one of his arms. Rayko had gone to the pair of injured sailors, and she was already dressing their wounds. Flara and Apisa stood near the injured men, and it was Apisa who noticed Nori first.
Nori, you're hurt!
Nori glanced down to his shoulder, and he beheld his wound. The pain that he had been ignoring had finally slammed into him harder, and he couldn't not be aware of it. Rayko moved over to Nori, and she started to clean his wound. He sat down, and she stood over him. As soon as the strange creature was gone, Luxie whirled about and stomped up to Nori and the others.
Did you know that a crazed... whatever the hell that was coming after you?
No, we didn't know someone was hunting the objects exactly.
What do you mean you didn't know exactly?
Hey, don't yell at her. We've never encountered anything like that creature before.
Well, then how did you know what it was? Huh? 2 of my people were injured because of that bastard. And my ship is damaged. What do you know?
Nori started to push himself up, but the captain pointed a finger at him.
Oh no. You had better sit your Onistan ass back down. I'm pissed, and rightfully so. I had no idea we'd face something like that. How did you know what it was?
I only know about them because they are mentioned in the scrolls that my friends and I found in an ancient abandoned research facility. I was only guessing it was a Vren, because, to be honest, I had never actually seen one in real life, nor are they in any of the modern-day scripts. They are an ancient race that perhaps existed hundreds of years ago.
The Vren said something about you having something you found. What was he talking about?
When we went to the abandoned research facility, Flara found an ancient item of some kind. It holds mysterious significance, and it's connected to ancient gods and goddesses or something.
Luxie frowned deeper, and for a moment she averted her eyes.
You found a special item in an ancient place? Was it a temple?
No, it was a long-forgotten research facility that belonged to the University of Magic. They were doing some dark experiments and research there.
So this item... is it about handheld size, triangular shape, made from metal and kinda sparkly?
Nori's stomach sloshed around with animated discontent. And he glanced at Flara. Her eyes were opened wider and her mouth hung ajar.
How did you know that?
Because I've seen it before. Or rather, not the one in your possession. I've seen one just like it. About 5 years ago, my brother and father discovered a strange abandoned ruin in the middle of Tengu country. Inside, they found a weird trinket, and it was protected by some kind of monster. Well, my brother defeated the Guardian and then gave the item to my mother as a gift.
Your brother found a piece like the one we found? That's incredible!
Yeah, my brother Vihori is quite the guy. So perfect it makes me want to throw up. I swear sometimes life has a funny way of kicking you in the teeth.
Why do you say that?
My ship is pretty messed up. We can do some minor repairs on the sails and such, but we need to dock, restock, and repair the ship. Someone banged up my ship with a stupid-ass Tetsubo, in addition to that stupid Vren bastard.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to crush his face.
Too bad you crushed my ship instead. My poor baby. Anyway, I'm from the city closest to where we are right now, and my family still lives there. If that bastard is going after these items, we might be able to have a rematch. I want to gut that little bastard.
So you're from Sao Si? The Jewel of the Desert? I've heard a lot about that place, but I've never been.
Nori let out a small laugh, which caused Apisa, Flara, and Rayko to turn their attention on him.
What's so funny, Mr. Nori?
He's laughing because I'm not from Sao Si. And also, that's not the closest city to where we are right now.
The closest city to where we are right now is not really a city, it is a... By Saito's grace, are you a Gahoden?
That's right. I was born in the city of pirates. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I want to go back there. It's the best option, though. Especially if you want to get to Sienba as quickly as you can.
Wait, if that's where you're from, why don't you want to go there?
Let's just say I didn't leave on the best of terms. You know what? It'll be fine. I mean, it will probably be fine. Surely she's gotten over it by now.
Gotten over what? And who is she?
It's nothing to worry about. Probably. Listen up, boys and girls. We're finally going back home to Gahoda.
None of the crew shouted jeers or hollers, but instead they averted their eyes or gave their captain startled expressions. Nori simply swallowed hard. There it was, her beloved and long-missed home, the grand city of Gahoda. As soon as it came into view, her heart chilled and twisted at various angles and degrees. She bit her lip as the wind blew against her face. She could almost smell the strong musks of the docks and the people who worked them. The more she drew in that imaginary scent, the harder the pain felt. How long had it been since she and her crew last docked in Gahoda? Luxie scoffed, for she knew the answer all too well. It had been 3 years. In all that time, Luxie had captained the Grinning Panda, and she sailed up and down the rivers from one end of the empire to the other. Whenever she and her crew came close to their home, they would always anchor until nightfall, and then sail past in the dark of the night. Each and every time she did, the memories of what was left behind assaulted her. Tears welled in her eyes and she blinked them away. While it was sad for her, it surely was way more intense for her crew, those who left to their families to support her. Each and every one of her crew were her new family, just as it should be with a captain and her dedicated sailors. Iwa Boy was going to be able to show off his new chest scar, which was probably going to increase his sex appeal among the other sailors in port cities up and down the river. Luxie winced. Kirei had lost an arm, which meant he couldn't really man the rudder alone, or carry large boxes of cargo. But still, Luxie would find a use for him. She owed him that much.
Hey, Luxie? Are you okay?
Luxie peeked over her shoulder and found the Onistan right beside her. A mournful look had been plastered on his larger face. He didn't have his weapon or loot, and he gripped the railing beside where she and he stood.
I'm fine. Thanks for asking, but this isn't something any of you need to worry about.
You really didn't want to go back, did you?
Quite the opposite, actually. I desperately wanted to come back, but I couldn't. If we didn't incur so much damage and my mother wasn't a target for whatever the little winged bastards' plans are, I'd be waiting to sail past Gahoda at night. Listen, I like you. Really like you. But I don't want to go into it, okay?
I understand. Is there anything I can do to make you feel better?
Not something we can do in such a limited time. Or without everyone on the ship hearing.
Luxie laughed out loud as she beheld Nori's cheeks turning the most crimson shade.
I'm kidding. Partially. It might get really bad when we get there. Just don't try to be a hero, okay? I'm not some damsel who needs saving.
I understand. You mentioned that this is the city of pirates. Is my friend going to be safe here?
I promise your friend is going to be all right. Yes, Gahodans are pirates and scallywags, but we also know better than to mess with the royal family. The Empress would send her entire fleet and army to scourge each and every one of us, should that happen. I can also promise I won't let anything happen to you or your friends.
Well, I'm no damsel to be rescued either.
Onistans don't make good helpless damsels. It's not in your nature. We're pulling into the port soon. Would you mind giving me time to be alone?
Nori nodded and then turned to leave. As he did, the imaginary and ghost-like image of another Onistan man stood beside him, smiling at Luxie. Her heart ached and she turned her attention back to Gahoda. The Grinning Panda pulled into the open mouth of the harbor and slowly sailed into the middle, not quite approaching the docks yet. Luxie frowned. This was not the Gahoda she remembered exactly. Many of the ships in the harbor were damaged with torn sails, broken masts, and some had arrows and spears stabbed into the sides of the hull. In her memory, she saw the docks and piers of the city filled with people, and yet there were much less than there should have been given this time of day, if her memory served her well. Luxie's guts resonated wildly within her. This environment was just like the old civil wars of the past Gahoda. A ship eased out from the docks with the pennant of a red fox on a white background. Luxie swallowed hard. Was this a good sign or a bad sign? She couldn't rightly tell at the moment. Maybe it was both. Luxie turned to the rest of her crew, all of which who had regarded her with the same eager uncertainty. Nori and his 3 friends were also on deck.
Listen up, everyone. This includes you 4. No matter what, do not go for your weapons. In fact, place your hands on your heads once the ship gets closer. No arguing.
To her delight, no one did. The ship with the red fox pennant got closer, and Luxie placed her hands on her head. A single taller man stood on the front part of the ship, and he was recognizable even at a distance. He had long brown hair, brown eyes, and he stood with oozing confidence. Vihori rested a hand on his sword hilt, and his face was a mask of grave concern. His ship, the Crimson Vulpine, pulled alongside the Grinning Panda. The crew of his ship lowered a gangplank between the 2 ships. Luxie walked over to where the gangplank connected to her ship. With confidence and grace, Vihori walked across the gangplank and stepped aboard her vessel. He looked about briefly before glaring at Luxie. His crew stayed on their ship, and they didn't draw their weapons either.
I see that you had to do some makeshift repairs on your sails, and there are some signs of damage. Maybe combat? Have you been reckless with the Grinning Panda?
I've taken excellent care of this ship. Thank you very much. We had an unfortunate and unexpected bout of trouble. What happened to Gahoda? Most of the ships in the harbor looked wrecked. Maybe you should concern yourself over those ships instead of critiquing mine.
Yours? That's quite an interesting word choice.
Yes, mine. The Grinning Panda has been mine for the last 3 years.
What are you even doing on the river at this time of year? Have you forgotten what time of year it is?
No, I've not forgotten. I know exactly what time it is, and I've braved it anyway.
Reckless.
Oh, screw you! I'm an adult. Now answer my question. What happened to Gahoda?
Why is it any concern of yours? You and your crew turned your back on Gahoda when you left.
Stop being a stubborn bag of severed dicks. What happened?
Gahoda was attacked, but we repelled the assailants and are planning our counterattack. What are you doing here, Luxie?
Well, firstly, the Grinning Panda needs repairs. But also, I came to bring you a warning.
A warning?
Yesterday, we were attacked by this strange creature, who was after something that one of my passengers had on them. I think they may be coming after the one you gave Mother.
That's her brother?
Vihori turned around and beheld the person who spoke. None other than the tallest of Nori's female companions. The one who knew about the Vren, and the one Luxie was almost certain was a member of the royal family. Vihori shifted around to approach her, but Luxie stepped in his way.
Listen,
Stand aside, Luxie.
Much to her dismay, Luxie stepped out of Vihori's way. Her brother approached the one named Flara, but then Nori stepped in front of him.
Stand aside.
No.
The air on the ship changed, and Luxie's skin started to crawl. At the moment, she couldn't say anything because it would reveal Nori's truth. But at the same time, Nori couldn't deviate from his duty either.
Stand aside, Onistan, or be moved.
Nori tightened the grip on his Tetsubo, which was on his shoulder, and it was an audible display.
I said no.
Flara actually stepped around Nori, and she placed a hand on the Onistan's shoulder.
It's okay, Mr. Nori. I don't think he's going to try and hurt me.
I most certainly won't try to hurt you. Tell me, miss, has my sister been telling you things about me? I would love to hear what they are. I have not spoken to her in quite some time.
Well, she said that you went into a ruin and found an artifact?
I did indeed, miss. I take it you found something similar?
Flara simply nodded.
How very interesting. What is your name, miss?
Flara.
Well, Miss Flara, I'm sad to say that the item I gave my mother has been stolen.
What? That winged bastard already got here too? Damn it!
Vihori shifted around and regarded Luxie again.
You encountered the creature and his daughter?
Oh great, there are two of them? We only encountered one of them. That's the reason we need repairs. I also came to see if you and Mother were all right.
For a long moment, Vihori just stared at Luxie with swirling and deep eyes.
It's very surprising that you actually care about our well-being.
Well, of course I care. I never stopped caring. It's just that...
You weren't the only one to get hurt. You were being selfish. But it's all right now.
It is?
Yes. Mother was the one who saw your ship come into port. She sent me to fetch you.
He gestured to the gangplank.
Let's go, Luxie. Also, Miss Flara, you and your companion should come as well. Somehow you are connected to this mysterious assailant, and I am certain my mother is going to want to hear all about it.
Beg your pardon, but is your mother someone important?
Why, yes, miss. My mother is indeed. She is Alfana Amori, the Pirate Queen.
Of all the ways that Luxie had imagined it, this was not how she wanted to return home. A strong sense of bitterness festered in Luxie's stomach as she stepped off of Vihori's ship and onto Gahoda's docks. She stopped, as if drawing in the long-abandoned power and glory this city once infused with her. She held her hand to her chest right below the nape of her neck. The smells of this city filled her nostrils. Somewhere along the docks, most likely from Itocho's bakery, fresh baked meat pies were on display for purchase. Despite the apparent attack, there were still fishmongers shouting about their delicious wares. And there was the aroma of the people. It wasn't smelly or foul-like body odor. It was something else entirely, something connected to her memories. This was her home. Her brother stopped right beside her.
How does it feel to finally be home? Have you missed Gahoda? It has missed you dearly.
Luxie averted her eyes from him, and she stared into the cobblestone of the street.
Word of advice, little sister. Take what you are given, and do not lash out in return. You hurt us, and if you truly came back because you cared for Mother and I, then you will endure.
And with that, Vihori took the lead and moved up the docks toward the street. Luxie stepped in behind her brother, and her soul plummeted deeper inside herself, as if to hide from the shame of what was going to happen. Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. She heard Nori's large strides just behind her, and she assumed his trio of friends moved behind him. Thanks Saito he didn't try to bolster her again. He really was a sweet man, but she needed to steel herself for reuniting with her mother. Vihori led them to the largest building at the back of Gahoda. As she walked through the city, Luxie heard the gasps and whispers from the people on the street. Some were laced with surprise, while others were quite displeased. Little comments found their way into her ears. Traitor. Deserter. Ungrateful child. Luxie breathed a heavy sigh and she kept her stomach clenched. The largest building at the back of the city was once the Great Granary, a massive building built 100 years or so after the 4th or 5th Gahodan Civil War. When her mother took control of the city and brought the other pirate lords and ladies under heel, she remodeled the building to serve as their center of government. It was designed after the sort of governor buildings found in other cities. And since Gahoda was never truly part of the Empire, it never got one before. They walked in through the front doors, and the urge to throw up nearly dominated her. Each step brought her closer to a meeting she had longed for years, but also dreaded at the same time. Vihori stopped in front of the open entryway to an office.
Mother, we are here. May we have permission to enter?
Get your asses in here.
Vihori moved in first, and Luxie followed. The office was just as she remembered it. Her mother's official work desk sat at the far side of the room, and an open doorway leading to a balcony was right beside her desk. Several shelves lined the walls, containing trinkets, gifts, offerings, and other such things her mother valued. Her mother, the great pirate queen Alfana Amori, leaned on the edge of her desk, with her arms crossed and a scowl on her face. Her eye patch was brown today, although she remembered her mother had usually worn an old black leather one in her youth. Her mother's sword was at her side, but at least it wasn't drawn.
I told you to bring her, not a whole goddamn group of people.
Her mother's words stopped once Nori stepped into the room. Amori's eye hopped to Vihori, and then to Luxie.
Why are there so many people in my office, boy?
These people were on the Grinning Panda, and they are connected to the item that was stolen.
Oh, on the Grinning Panda, you say? And connected to that little winged bastard? How strange. Although it's not as strange as seeing my estranged daughter. What are you doing in my city, girl? Last I heard, you told me you were never coming back.
I wasn't planning on it. Not like this anyway. But I needed repairs and I would...
Her mother stepped off of the desk and walked up to Luxie. She stood within arm's reach.
Repairs? What did you do to my ship?
My ship. The Grinning Panda is mine. And just so you know, I've taken great care of it over the last 3 years.
It's only yours because you stole it.
Well, what did you expect? You raised me to be a pirate. Pirates steal things.
Oh, so you're a pirate, are you?
No, I'm not. Not since I left Gahoda. I'm a smuggler.
A long silence lingered between Luxie and her mother, and not once did Amori avert her eye. Her mother's mouth formed a frown, and both of her fists were balled.
A smuggler, huh? Well, I can't say I'm surprised. I could have you thrown in a cell for the rest of your days, and then anchor that ship like it was supposed to have been.
Mother, please don't. I have to get these people to Siemba.
Yes. The others who came with you, even though they were not invited. Boy, you say they were connected to the trinkets stolen from me. Explain yourself.
Vihori opened his mouth to speak, but to Luxie's surprise, Flara stepped forward and bowed briefly before Amori. Her mother narrowed her eye and tilted her head in obvious intrigue.
I can't explain that, ma'am. My friends and I found an unusual artifact and set of scrolls in a long-abandoned research facility to the northeast of Jedi. The artifact we found is similar to the one your son found in a ruin.
You're well informed if you know about that. I wonder if my daughter's been telling you stories of the family she left behind. How strange. What is your name, young woman?
My name is Flara, and I'm sorry to hear about the attack on your city. I'm also sorry to hear that the sister artifact that you had was stolen.
How did you know that we were attacked? So, both of my children have been telling you things.
I mentioned it to Luxie on her ship, but nothing more than that. Apparently the same creature that attacked us also went after them.
Oh, so is that where the damage came from?
Yes.
Did they manage to steal your artifact as well?
No, I still have it.
Well, in that case, I'm going to have to take yours.
No, you can't. We need to get it back to Xianba.
That artifact was a present from my dear, sweet boy. And I cherished it, so I'm sure you understand.
Amori held out her hand expectantly, and Luxie's stomach dropped deeper inside her. Whenever her mother wanted something, she got it. However, the apprehensive sensation that she had just experienced tripled when Nori stepped between Amori and Flara. The Hori placed a hand on his sword hilt, but Nori didn't pay him any mind. He stared deep into her mother's eye, and she stared right back up. Apisa and Rayko stood on either side of Nori, and they also held their hands out wide. A sick grin covered her mother's face.
Oh, Anistan boy. Ladies, you'd all better step back before I put you in your place.
You'll find us more difficult to place than most.
Amori's smile widened, and her hand drifted to her sword hilt. Nori's forearm muscles holding the Tetsubo tightened.
Everyone stop!
Flara stepped around Nori and placed her hands between both him and her mother.
No, everyone, please stand down. It's going to be okay. Miss, please, I can't give you the item. The fate of the Empire depends on it.
The fate of the Empire? What would a mousy little thing like you have to do with the fate of the Empire?
Luxie watched with wide eyes. Flara winced, but she never turned her attention away from her mother. Flara's back straightened.
My name is Twisha Flara, and I am the youngest daughter of the Empress Fausta.
I thought she was just like the niece of the Empress or some distant cousin.
You knew she was connected to the royal family. So if she is a princess, does this mean that the Oni-stan is—
Yes, Nori is my tutor. Please don't think ill of him. He's always looking out for me, especially when I go on dangerous quests.
Huh. Okay. That makes sense then. Are the two ladies also Chutar?
No, they're my best friends in the world. Please, Miss, Pirate Queen. Please don't force us to protect the artifact I'm carrying. We really need to go to Xianba, so I may present this to my mother.
Luxie paused a moment, and then really looked at the princess. Yes, she still looked mousy as her mother had described her. And yet, she also shined with a sort of indomitable strength. The same sort of shimmering sparkled in Nori's, Rayko's, and Apisa's eyes.
Ha! Don't force you to protect it. You've guts, princess. I like that. Very well. I won't press the matter further. However, it seems like your ride needs repairs. Unfortunately, many ships need repairs.
Yeah, about that. What happened? Vahori only gave me bits of details. Gahoda was attacked?
Yes, it was. By a swarm of Tengu.
Tengu? But why?
How the hell am I supposed to know? They just stormed the city at the same time as the little winged bastard fought your brother and I. Somehow the creature and—
Vren, ma'am.
Call me Amori, princess. Having someone like you call me ma'am is a little strange. So that creature was a Vren?
Yes, Miss Amori. So you're saying that the Tengu attacked at the same time? This is worse than I thought.
What do you mean, darling?
According to some of the scrolls I actually took with us, the Vrens serve ancient and long-forgotten gods and goddesses, and they are planning on returning. If the Vren are able to gain allies like the Tengu, then what else have they been doing in the shadows of the country when we're not looking?
It did feel really coordinated. So I'm not exactly clear on the scrolls you're talking about. Can you please explain?
Yes, please do.
And so, Flara began telling the story of how the entire ordeal started. She started off by talking about how she and her friends, Nori included, went up against a group of thugs to save a husband of some doctor. Nori interjected and added in details relating to the storming of the Karaba clan stronghold, and referenced Luxie. She confirmed the details, and then Nori explained how he provided Flara with the puzzle box. Flara continued the story from there. Her words were softer, but her speech was articulate and quite engaging. The four of them had left Jedi and traveled to a distant forest where massive spider creatures lived. They braved the forest, freed some shadow creatures, and then discovered a collection of lost lore, as well as the artifact. She ended her story with how the Vren attacked the ship and then demanded the artifact.
And you see, that's why we need to get this item back to my mother in Cienba.
That does sound troubling, especially if attacks like what happened to our city are likely to happen again.
Not just here, but everywhere. Will you be willing to combine your forces with my mother's?
No, I would not.
Why not? Don't you see how powerful these mysterious masters are?
Oh, I understand perfectly well. What you don't seem to understand is that I have a duty for my people. What do you think is going to happen if we opened our doors and docks to the Imperial throne?
I beg your pardon, your pirate majesty. But why do you think anything would happen? These are dire times.
Dire times or not. My mother and my brother are wanted by the throne. They are famous pirate figures, and even though piracy on the river has been on a steady decline over the last few years, they both still have prices on their heads.
It is true.
What am I up to nowadays, anyway?
25,000 gold coins.
That's it? Well, anyways, yeah. I'm not able to combine our forces. As many of my people, including my family, would be arrested, tried, and executed for our pirate legacy. I'm sorry, Miss Flara, but your mother's gonna have to fight this on her own. Besides, I'd die before I gave up my office to a snotty-ass little noble's child. I've been governor of Gahoda for the last 10 years.
Flara averted her eyes and then she frowned deeply. It wasn't a pleasant expression to see on the princess's face, although most of the time Luxie had seen her with an uncomfortable sort of expression. Her friends, Nori included, all looked at her, wondering what was going on behind those blue-green eyes.
What if there was a way to both clear your name and the name of your people, and legitimize your status of governor? Would you fight with the Imperial throne if and when the time came?
And how would someone like you accomplish all that? You're a princess, yes, but only one person. What you're asking is a tall order.
Maybe so. But still, would you pledge yourself to the throne?
Luxie stared at her mother, and all the moisture had dried in her mouth. What Flara was proposing was insane. Being able to secure all that would change the dynamics of the city itself. Gahoda was always a pirate city, but connecting it to the rest of the empire? What would become of Gahoda?
If you were able to accomplish such a thing, then yes, I would. How would you do it?
Political marriage?
Luxie's eyes widened, and she studied Nori first. He also beamed a surprised expression at the princess, as did her best friends. Amori had taken on a hungry, wolfish expression, while Vihori simply stared on in confusion.
I'm sorry, maybe I misheard you. Could you please say it one more time? A little louder and more clear.
Political marriage.
That's what I thought you said. I'm flattered, but I'm not into women.
Neither am I. I was actually referring to your son, Vihori? Is he married?
Luxie nearly barked up a laugh when she noticed how crimson her brother's cheeks became. He glanced about as if he was not certain who this Vihori was. Amori grinned from ear to ear.
No. My son isn't married. I will admit, imagining setting him up with someone like you is quite intriguing.
Mother, what are you saying?
Are you saying you'd be opposed to marrying Miss Flara here?
I don't know her. I mean, I'm sure she's wonderful. She certainly is beautiful, but I just... By Saito's grace, is this really happening?
Her mother turned to Luxie.
So, what do you think? You know Vihori, and you've obviously spent some time around a princess here. Do you think they're a good pair?
I don't know her that well. From what I know, she is courageous, intelligent, and obviously willing to make sacrifices for others. Vihori is the same way, in all aspects.
Flara peeked up at Vihori, who also looked at her at the same time. Both of them blushed a little more intensely. And it was so cute that Luxie almost visually gagged.
How about this? Vihori, you'll accompany Miss Flara to Siamra, get to know her, and be presented before the Empress herself. If the arrangement is solidified, and you both agree to it, then we shall pledge ourselves to the Empire. If my son doesn't come home, then the Imperial throne will make an enemy of Gahoda. Rest assured.
I promise that won't happen.
Does this mean you'll fix my ship?
I'm going to fix my ship. And I'm going to let you captain it for a little while longer. Don't press your luck, girl.
Whatever, it's my ship. Thanks, Mother.
You haven't changed at all. Well, since you're going to be around while we repair the grinning panda, you can help your brother on his little mission.
What sort of mission?
The Tengu attacked us without provocation, and so we're gonna give them a reprisal. We have to show them that they can't just attack us without any response. I'm leading a battalion of pirates into their lands, and we're gonna draw them out into a fight.
That sounds dangerous as shit.
It is, but we have to send a strong message. Otherwise, it will embolden the Tengu to continue attacking us.
I suppose, given the circumstances, there isn't really another choice. Okay, I'll come with you.
I'm coming too.
Luxie glanced over at him.
Don't you have to stay beside the princess and protect her?
Under normal circumstances, yes. However, you're going on a dangerous mission, and Vihori is potentially Miss Flara's new fiancé. In order to safeguard her plans, I'm willing to act as his bodyguard, so long as it's all right with Miss Flara.
I suppose that would be okay. So long as you're careful too.
I want to go too.
Absolutely not.
What do you mean? You're not the boss of me.
Apisa, no. You're one of the mightiest warriors we have, and someone has to stay with Flara in case that Vren person shows back up. You and Rayko are more than capable of fighting with Flara.
I'll also be here to protect Miss Flara. If you're going to go along and protect my children, then I'm more than happy to protect your princess.
Thank you.
Okay, so when do we leave?
Well, before you showed up, we were making preparations to leave this afternoon. Are you both ready to go? We'll be away for a couple of days.
I have my Tetsubo, but I'll also need my camping supplies if we're
Oh, we'll provide all that for you. Miss Flara, would you like to have tea upon my return?
Yes. That sounds nice.
Luxie grabbed both Vihori and Nori by the arms, and she led them out of the office.
Okay, great. Let's go. The sooner we start, the sooner we can come back.
She pushed them out of the office, and then beamed one look back to Flara, Apisa, and Rayko.
Don't worry. I'll keep Nori safe and sound.
You had better.
The blonde woman's cheeks reddened as she averted her eyes from Luxie. Her friends gave Apisa delighted expressions, and Luxie just kind of gave an awkward giggle and then waltzed out. A small frown had formed under her nose as soon as she was out of sight of the 3 women mages. So, that was something she'd have to address at a later date. Great. Just great.